For 5,000 years, the Sahara has been a monument to the sun. A ruthless ocean of shifting sand covering a third of the African continent. But the desert was never meant to be eternal. As the Earth's axis slowly shifts and global weather patterns collapse in the absence of human interference, the ancient monsoons finally return to the north. Did you know that just a few millennia ago, the Sahara was a vibrant, sprawling wetland teeming with massive lakes and dense vegetation? This is not a new phenomenon. It is a violent, rapid regression to the Earth's prehistoric memory. The transition begins with a single, heavy drop of rain, followed by a dark, relentless storm that lasts for 3 unbroken decades. The dry, cracked wadis that have not seen moisture since the time of the pharaohs suddenly become raging, turbulent rivers of dark mud. The extreme thirst of the desert is unquenchable, absorbing billions of gallons of water before the ground finally saturates. The era of the golden dunes is over, washed away by an endless, deafening deluge that completely rewrites the geography of the continent. The Great Desert is drowning, preparing the soil for an explosive and terrifying biological resurrection as the relentless decades of rain continue. The fundamental chemistry of the Sahara begins to radically change. The massive seas of sand, known as ergs, turn into treacherous, unstable quagmires of thick, sucking mud. The fierce sandstorms that once scoured the landscape are completely replaced by suffocating, heavy fogs that blanket the newly formed lakes. Did you know that buried deep beneath the Saharan sand are massive, ancient riverbeds that once rivaled the Amazon in size and power? These forgotten arteries of the earth are reborn, carving deep, violent canyons through the sedimentary rock. The dormant seeds of prehistoric plants, buried for thousands of years in the deep, cool layers of the earth, suddenly awaken from their geological slumber. They are fueled by the intense equatorial heat and the endless supply of fresh water from the darkened sky. Within a single century, a vicious green carpet of aggressive, fast-growing mosses and ferns begins to spread across the former dunes. It is a botanical invasion of unimaginable scale, converting the dead silica into a rich, dark, and highly fertile topsoil. The desert is no longer empty. It is a chaotic, bubbling laboratory of life. The transition from desert to jungle is not a peaceful process. It is a brutal war of expansion. Once the soil is stabilized by the lower plants, the massive tropical trees begin their aggressive conquest of the north. Giant mahogany and kapok trees shoot up from the earth, their massive roots cracking the ancient sandstone to anchor themselves in the wet mud. Did you know that in hyperhumid environments, some species of tropical vines can grow over a foot a day, suffocating anything in their path? The new Saharan jungle is a dark, impenetrable fortress of thick green foliage that completely blocks out the sun. The iconic, sweeping vistas of the desert are gone, replaced by a claustrophobic, humid canopy that traps the heat and the moisture. Strange, bioluminescent fungi bloom in the permanent twilight of the forest floor, feeding on the rapid decay of fallen leaves. The silence of the desert has been replaced by the deafening, constant hum of millions of insects and the shrieks of new, unseen predators. The earth is flexing its biological muscle, proving that the sand was only a temporary bandage over a vibrant, violent green wound. On the eastern edge of the new jungle, the ancient monuments of humanity face an enemy they were never designed to fight. For millennia, the dry desert air perfectly preserved the Great Sphinx of Giza, protecting its limestone from the ravages of time. But the heavy, acidic rains of the new monsoon season begin to melt the ancient stone like sugar. Did you know that the roots of tropical trees secrete powerful acids that can dissolve solid rock to extract essential minerals? Massive, snake-like roots of creeping fig trees wrap around the Sphinx's face, pulling the heavy limestone blocks apart with slow, unstoppable hydraulic pressure. The eyes of the ancient guardian are blinded by thick layers of toxic, bright green moss and creeping vines. The monument that survived empires, wars, and the harsh desert sun is completely defenseless against the relentless hunger of the jungle. It no longer looks like a human construct. It looks like a strange, forgotten hill, slowly being digested by the earth. The pride of the pharaohs is being erased, not by sand, but by the overwhelming, suffocating embrace of nature's green tide just beyond the Sphinx. The Great Pyramids stand as the last, stubborn mountains of the human era, but even these massive, impossible structures cannot escape the transformation of the continent. The smooth outer casings of the pyramids, already damaged by time, become the perfect terraced scaffolding for the invading flora. Did you know that dust storms from the drying mud plains deposit thousands of tons of nutrient-rich soil directly onto the steps of the pyramids? This flying earth creates high-altitude gardens where trees and thick bushes begin to grow hundreds of feet in the air. The massive stone blocks, weighing tons, are slowly pushed out of alignment by the expanding roots of massive mahogany trees. During the heavy monsoon rains, the pyramids transform into spectacular, artificial waterfalls, with thousands of gallons of water cascading down their overgrown green faces. The greatest tombs ever built by human hands are no longer dead monuments. They have become living, breathing ecosystems. They are the centerpieces of a wild, new Eden, serving as high-ground sanctuaries for the animals that now rule the flooded jungle floor. With the return of the water and the trees, the biological exiles of Africa begin their massive migration back into the Sahara. The animals that were once restricted to the southern savannas and the Congo Basin pushed northward into the uncharted, vast green territory. Did you know that ancient rock art in the middle of the deep desert depicts giraffes, hippos, and crocodiles swimming in massive, now vanished lakes? That ancient art has become reality once again. Huge pods of aggressive hippopotamuses claim the flooded ruins of Cairo, turning the submerged streets into dangerous, territorial waterways. Massive herds of forest elephants carve dark, muddy highways through the thick vegetation, knocking down ancient statues to reach the sweetest leaves. But the true rulers of this new world are the predators. Leopards and specialized, jungle-adapted lions stalk their prey from the high branches of the trees that now grow out of the ancient ruins. The human cities have become perfect hunting grounds, offering high vantage points and dark, concrete caves for the beasts. The food chain has been entirely restored, but humanity is no longer at the top. From the edge of the Atlantic Ocean to the shores of the Red Sea, the transformation is absolute and breathtaking. The Sahara is no longer a barrier dividing the African continent. It is a massive, unified, beating green heart. The human settlements that once clung to the rare desert oases have been completely swallowed by the aggressive expansion of the wetlands. Did you know that the combined area of this new jungle is larger than the entire continental United States? It is a massive carbon sink, pulling millions of tons of carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and pumping out pure, heavy oxygen. The air in this new Sahara is so thick and rich that it fuels the rapid growth of massive insects, reminiscent of the ancient Carboniferous period. Giant dragonflies with 2-foot wingspans hunt over the dark, muddy rivers that now cross the landscape. The sheer scale of the vegetation alters the way the Earth reflects light back into the cold void of space. The golden, dead spot on the planet's surface has been replaced by a deep, dark, and vibrant emerald green. The desert is dead. Long live the jungle. The greening of the Sahara does not just change Africa. It violently alters the weather patterns of the entire planet. For thousands of years, the dust blown from the dry Sahara was carried across the Atlantic Ocean, acting as a crucial fertilizer for the Amazon rainforest. Did you know that without the millions of tons of phosphorus-rich Saharan dust, the Amazon would slowly starve and die as the desert turns to mud and jungle? That ancient dust supply is completely cut off. In a cruel twist of global ecology, the rebirth of the Sahara triggers the slow, agonizing death of the Amazon. The South American jungle begins to dry out, transforming into a vast, arid savanna, while Africa takes its place as the primary lungs of the Earth. Furthermore, the new Saharan canopy absorbs massive amounts of solar radiation, altering the global wind currents and cooling the northern hemisphere. The Earth is a delicate, interconnected machine, And the flipping of a single switch in Africa rewires the entire climate system. The greening of the desert proves that nature's balance is always temporary. And the planet owes no loyalty to the geography we once mapped. As the centuries pass, the final traces of human history in North Africa are completely digested by the acidic soil. The dry desert sand was a perfect archivist, preserving mummies, scrolls, and ancient cities in a state of suspended animation for thousands of years. But the humid, wet jungle is a relentless destroyer of the past. Did you know that in high-humidity tropical environments, unprotected organic matter and ancient paper decompose completely in less than a decade? The libraries of Alexandria and the hidden tombs of the Valley of the Kings are flooded with dark groundwater and consumed by black mold. The intricate hieroglyphics carved into temple walls are scrubbed away by the constant acidic rain and the clinging roots of vines. The jungle does not respect the memory of kings or the achievements of empires. It only respects the present moment, the constant, desperate struggle for sunlight and water. In a few thousand years, there will be absolutely no physical evidence that humans ever built a civilization in this region. Our greatest historical record is being permanently erased by a sea of green. The Shadows Archive now closes the chapter on the Golden Desert, a landscape that was only ever a brief phase in the Earth's long, violent history. The Sahara has returned to its ancient, true form, completing a massive geological and climatic cycle that takes thousands of years to turn. It is a beautiful, terrifying reminder that the Earth does not need us to heal. It only needs our absence. Did you know that in another 20,000 years, the Earth's axis will shift again, and this massive jungle will inevitably burn and return to sand? But for now, the green continent thrives in the silence of the human departure. The Great Pyramids are just strange, triangular mountains in a dark forest, and the Nile is just one of 1,000 nameless rivers. The ghosts of the pharaohs have finally been laid to rest, buried under 1 trillion leaves and the deep, wet mud. The Earth has successfully reclaimed its stolen territory. The green Sahara breathes in the silence, wild, untamed, and perfectly balanced, waiting patiently for the next turn of the cosmic wheel.